Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Srikanth. So in this session we'll start creating the API from the Node.js project. Okay, first of all we'll have to download the MongoDB Compass by navigating to mongodb.com/community. Okay, here you can download this one. I have already downloaded this one, so here it will be like this on the initial setup. Once you have downloaded and installation is successful, you can see this screen. You can search for the MongoDB Compass in the search. When you click on this one, you will get this screen. Now let's create a connection string. Just click on next. Here just you need to click on this plus icon and save and connect. So this will create admin and config folder by default. So we need to add the database. We can add the database by clicking on plus icon here, and you can give the database name. Let's name this one as food online. Okay, collection name will be food. Okay, so by default there will be a collection name. We need to give food. You can name this one anything, otherwise you can edit this one as well. Okay, let's rename this one as food collection name. This is similar like it is giving rename collection. Okay, rename it as it initial level. We do not have any data. We are renaming this one so food to foods. Okay, we have created the database and we have created the collection as well. Now let's go back to the Visual Studio Code. So inside the server folder we have the server.ts file. So first we need to have the data, sample data. So I have prepared the sample data already. So here it is, this one, data.txt. So this is a sample data. Let's copy this thing and paste it inside the server folder. So let's create a file data.ts. So we'll be using this sample data for this food online store. Okay, here you can observe the data. We are having pizza, meat, hamburger, and this is the sample data we have. And we have the tags, data tags. We can also search with these tags. Okay, so we got the sample data and we need to create the models for this thing. So let's add the models and the other folders for this one. Okay, let's name the routes folder first of all and shared folder. Inside the shared folder we'll have to create the models. Let's name this one as the models. Okay, so we have the data.ts as a sample data file and we have created the routes folder for each and every route and models. So let's add model food.ts. Okay, now for inside this food.ts we'll have to create the structure of the collection similar to the table in the SQL. So import model schema from Mongoose, as we have installed the Mongoose, so we'll have to import. Okay, so now let's create the interface. So we know the structure of the model export. We need to export that interface, export interface, and name the interface as iFood. Okay, so what is the structure of the data? So we have ID, name, price, favorite, and these are all the things we need. So let's copy all of these things and paste it inside this interface, and now mention the types for this one: string, let's copy this string and use it for all of these things. Pizza, and the price will be number. So let's make this price will be number, and favorite will be boolean. And copy the string and paste it for the image URL, and the tags will be a string array. Okay, we have successfully created the interface. Let's rename this all commas by colon. Okay, now we'll have to create the schema for this interface. So export const food schema. Let's name this one as food schema. So we have to create new schema. Okay, and we can also mention the type. What is the type? iFood. Okay, now we need to create the schema for this particular collection. So we have to mention the type for each and every column. ID will be the string. So remember, here while creating the schema we have to use the uppercase for the schema. So string will be, S will be capital, and required you can mention is it required or not. So I'll make this one as a true. So ID we have taken, and next name will be the type of string, and required true, it is required while inserting the data. So in the same way, price, each and every product will have the price. So type will be number, capital N for the number, and required true. So we have created the 3 columns: ID, name, price, and we'd also need favorite, image URL, and tags. So let's add those as well. So type will be boolean. So for the boolean also we need to use capital B. Required you can mention this as a false. Okay, now what else? Image URL and tags. So image URL will also be a string. So let's add that as well. So type string, and required true. You can add true for this one. And one last thing, tags is a string array. So here we will be adding this one, tags. Type will be array of this one. So here for the tags array we will be adding this one, string inside that array. Okay, so you can mention required false. Now we got the schema for the food items. Now let's also add virtuals. So virtuals will be useful for the computing the properties. Okay, whenever we wanted to add any extra field without adding into the database, we can use virtuals. So let's add to JSON virtuals true. So these are helpful when we wanted to do any computation. To object virtuals true, and we also need to add timestamps true. So we'll get the created and updated date by default. Okay, so we got this one schema. We have created the schema successfully, and now let's create the model. Export constant food model. to model, and you can mention the type here, iFood as an interface. Now here we have to mention the collection name which we have created inside the MongoDB components. Foods, by default it will take as a plural, and we need to give the food schema. So we have successfully created the schema for the food items. The sample data what we have, we are going to insert these food items into the collection. Now create one route, food route, food.route.ts file. Okay, so this is the food route. So first of all, what we have to do, import router from Express. Okay, now const router equal to router. So this is the food router module. So by default we can add these things. Okay, router dot get. So by default route we need to get all the food list from the database. Request comma response. Here you can use, this is one. Okay, you can write rest dot send, this is food list. So we can also return in this way. This I have written just for the sample purpose. Okay, and we also need to install Express async handler for these operations. So we don't need to use promises like then. Okay, now add one more package for the server side. Let's take new terminal, cd. I'll show you the difference, what is the difference if we are not adding the Express handler. Okay, so let's navigate to cd server and install npm install Express async handler. So it will be installing the Express async handler. So here you can see Express async handler has been installed and it is added to the package.json file. Now let's import that Express async handler async from Express async handler. Okay, so I'll show you what is the use of this one. For now we'll start running this route here. So to run this endpoint, first of all we need to import this router into the main file server.ts. So let's navigate back to server.ts and we need to import that food router.ts. So first of all we need to export this one, export default router, so that we can import into the server.ts main file. Okay, now let's import food router from router. Routes / food route. So we have successfully imported the food router. So we need to give an endpoint for this one. So let's add an endpoint inside this one, app.use. Now let's make this one API / foods. Okay, when we navigate to this endpoint, this has to be loaded, food router. in this way we can able to use this one. So one thing you can see, it is showing some red line as because we have exported that one as a default, so we need to remove that flower braces. Now you can see it has gone. So we have successfully registered the food route. Okay, now we also need to import cars as well as use express.json. Okay, so let's import cars as we have installed earlier. Import cars from cars. Okay, so it is also showing some red quicks. So let's see what is it. So this is also asking for the types. So let's quickly install that types for the cars as well. So it has gone. Now we need to use this cars. So let's use the, first of all let's use express.json file, JSON thing, app.use express. Okay, express.json. So we can able to pass the request the JSON format. So also we need to add cars. Okay, after this one, app.use cars you can mention, and we can also do the specific site which we wanted to access the request. So from our side, the client is running on the port localhost 4200. So we need to mention this one here, so it can accept the request. So let's mention, we'll be having two things, credentials true, and the origin we need to mention. Origin is nothing but where we are getting the request from the client. So it will accept the request from here. Okay, now it's time to create the db config file. Let's add one more folder inside that src config. Okay, just add the config folder, config. So let's take db.ts. Okay, now we need to import the mongoose into this db.ts file. Import mongoose from mongoose. Okay, now we need to establish the connection for this particular database which we have created. So export const db connect, we'll name this as a db connect. You can give whatever you want. So this will be an arrow function. Okay, now we need to mention the connection string. Okay, now mongoose dot connect. Okay, so if you see here for the mongoose, you can see this is our database food line and this is the collection. So let's name this one MongoDB. So we will be having a default port which is nothing but 127.0.0.1. So this will be the default port for the MongoDB Compass. Okay, colon 2701 27017, and we need to mention the database we need what we have created, food online. So food -online. So you can use the then for this successful connection. So you can mention console.log unsuccessful connection, you can print db connected successfully. Okay, on error we can catch console.log connection failed, we can log. So here what we have done, we have established that db connection and we are also logging the error. Okay, just 1 minute. Catch, here there was a mistake, so console.log connection failed, you can log. Connection failed. So save all the files and import this db inside the server.ts. Import db connect from that config folder. So we need to add this db1. Now let's run the server again and see. We should able to see the connection is successful on the console. So here you can see db connected successfully on the terminal. So if you go and see and run that food router on the web, localhost 5000 slash, so API we have given the route. So this is food list. Here you can see what we are sending here. This is food list. This is coming from the food router.ts. So let's navigate to food router.ts. Here as you can see, by default we are returning this one. Okay, now what we'll be doing is we'll have to import that sample data. Okay, import, we have this one, right? We have created sample food list. Okay, so we need to import this thing. Okay, here I have imported the food list and we need to insert all of this food list into the collection. So for that one we can use router dot get. So let's name this one as create items. Okay, food items. Okay, now let's use async handler what we have imported and make it async request comma response. I'll show you the difference between this async, why we have to use this async instead of then in the promises style, in the old JavaScript promises style. So okay, so we have used that async handler. By using this async handler, so we can able to get all the inserted items, food items. So food list is there here on top of we have imported. So first let's get const food count. Let's name this one as food count. Okay, await. So what we need to use food model. So we have created the food model dot count documents. So this will give us the number of items present inside the foods collection. So here if count is greater than, if count food count greater than 0, just need to return rest dot send items already inserted into the collection. Okay, and you can return here, return, or else in the next step, what we can do is we can able to create the food items, okay, into the collection. So if the count is greater than 0, just we are sending the message to the client, items are already inserted. If not, we need to insert all of these items. Await, okay, so we need to insert food model dot create food list. Okay, so it will insert all of these sample items into the collection. Now you can return rest dot send items inserted successfully. Okay, now let's run this one. So we'll go back to the browser. So here this is the foods. Let's add this route, create food items, which will create all the items inside the collection. Now let's see, call this one, and before clicking on that endpoint, we'll need to see currently the food items are empty. Now let's go back to this one, and you can see items inserted successfully. So now go back to Compass and refresh. See, here we got the list of items. Total we have 6 items and all of these are inserted. You can see the ID underscore ID will be auto generated from the MongoDB, and the ID, name, price and all these are we have mentioned, and created and updated is coming because of the timestamp. So now let's run this get request. See, we had one get request right here, this one. So we can use this get request to see all the items. So now see how we can get all of these food items from the database. So we can modify this one. Okay, now use async handler for this get request as well. Async handler, okay, here. So you can also use async keyword so that we can use the await. So const food items equal to await food model dot find. So this is a find, will be giving list of items, total number of items present in the collection. If you are not giving any parameters inside this find one, by default it will return all of the items. If you are giving any particular condition, same like where condition, you can mention that particular thing here. Okay, now we can return the food items for this one. So when we go to this get request, it should return all of the items. Now let's copy this same thing and paste it in the new tab, and just by default navigating to this one. See, we got, when we navigate to food items, we got all the food items. So this will endpoint will give the list of food items. Okay, what we have done here, just we have created initial list of items by using create food items, then we are getting all of these items. Okay, so we have successfully created 2 routes. One is for the creation of items, and we are getting all the items. So thank you guys for watching. In the next session we will be creating more API endpoints, and also we'll see client side changes. See you in the next session.